Hello everybody, or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. It's that time of year, so I thought I would come on, join in with everybody else and do the mid-year book Freakout tag. I have the questions here on my phone and I haven't peeked at them at all. I haven't watched any videos of it so far because I wanted to do my own first and not get spoiled. So I've started a video to get the questions and then I will go back and watch some of everyone else's tags. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2022. The No Show by Beth O'Leary is up there. House of Sky and Breath, Crescent City Book 2 by Sarah J Maas. I can't pick favourites. And I really enjoyed All My Mothers by, who was that by? Joanna Glenn, which I read for a real life in-person book club that I go to. Those were top books so far of 2022. The best sequel you've read so far in 2022? The only one that really stands out to me so far is House of Sky and Breath. Spoiler alert, I have read and finally finished Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone by Diana Gabaldon, which is the latest Outlander book. But I'm not actually sure how I feel about it so far, and I feel like I need more time to think about it. I think I took too long to read it and it was a lot slower. I enjoyed it, but it doesn't make the best sequel, unfortunately. I'm intrigued to see where the next book's going to go, because the next book is supposed to be the last book and I'd like to think she'll tie up some loose ends, but this is Diana Gabaldon we're talking about, so you know. New release you haven't read yet but you want to. I want to, where is it? I've got it. Yes, I have. Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. I don't know when this was released, I will be honest. Let's see if I can find when it was. So this is actually a 2021 release. So does this count? Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead was a finalist for a shortlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction 2022, and yeah, it was 2021. It was shortlisted for the 2021 Booker Prize as well. From her days as a wild child in Prohibition America to the blitz and glitz of wartime London, from the rugged shores of New Zealand to a lonely ice shelf in Antarctica, Marion Graves is driven by a need for freedom and danger. Determined to live an independent life, she resists the pull of her childhood sweetheart, but it is an obsession with flight that consumes her most. On the verge of fulfilling her greatest ambition, to circumnavigate the globe from pole to pole, Marion crash lands in a perilous wilderness of ice. Over half a century later, troubled film star Hadley Baxter is drawn inexorably to play the enigmatic pilot on screen. It is a role that will lead her to an unexpected discovery, throwing fresh and spellbinding light on the story to the unknowable Marion Graves. Excuse me. I have heard so much about this. When I went and bought it in Waterstones, the guy even on the till was like, oh my gosh, I've just started it, it's amazing so far. And I was like, I'll have to come back in and tell you what I think when I've read it. Everyone that I've heard has read it, has really enjoyed it, and it just gives me kind of like Evelyn Hugo vibes as well. And I love the cover and I love the idea of kind of like a female character that's like trying to boss it, doing something that you know, is probably quite a big thing for a man to do, let alone a woman. And also like the idea that we're going to have kind of a split timeline potentially, I think, in this. So I'm really looking forward to this. A new-ish release. Is there another new release that I've started it already? Does that count? I'm really interested in finishing Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I've read just shy of half of it. I'm on page 152 of it so far. I'm loving it so far, and I cannot wait to finish it, so that's a bit of a cheeky one on there. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Let's go on to my Amazon wish list, or no, my Amazon pre-orders, and see. Filter. Because I know what I think I'm going to say. The Bullet That Missed. The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman, which is the third book in the Thursday Murder Club series. That I think is the one I've got my eye on most, and I'm like intrigued about the most. I'm also quite interested by Breaking Time by Sasha Olsberg, who's also a YouTuber, and she wrote Zenith and Nexus, and Breaking Time is kind of inspired by her love of Outlander, and we have like play in time and time travel like we do in Outlander. So that unfortunately is currently it was supposed to be released, and it has been released in the States, but we're not quite sure when it's going to be released. Oh, the title will be released on July 21st in the UK. It always frustrates me when there's different dates for UK and America and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Biggest disappointment. Biggest disappointment. Honestly, I think my biggest disappointment so far this year has been the Red Queen series. I'm just going to go back through my... Yeah, probably... Sorry, I've gone quiet. Probably this. The Red Queen series, which we've been reading. I didn't massively enjoy The Siren by Kira Cass. I don't think Gallant by V.E. Schwab was a disappointment as such, but more of a not what I was expecting. So I'm not going to say that was a disappointment, it just wasn't what I was expecting. And I also read My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout for a book club, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't kind of get it. But I think overall I was really looking forward to Red Queen. After reading the first book, I was really kind of intrigued to see where the rest of the series was going to go, and I just felt like this hasn't really kind of stood up to what my expectations were and wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. So I'm gonna go with that one. Biggest surprise has to be The No Show by Beth O'Leary, I think, because I was not expecting to even buy the book, let alone pick it, read it so quickly, and really love it and enjoy it. I totally kind of like was blown away by the story. I've spoken about this in previous videos, but I love The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I didn't hate the Switch, but I didn't enjoy it as much, and it was just an okay read, and it was, you know, it was readable when I read it, and it was okay, and I enjoyed my time reading it, but it wasn't like amazing and not a standout like The Flat Share. I think it just goes to prove that The Flat Share was kind of so amazing, I think, and so different that anything that followed it would have maybe not been quite. And then The Road Trip I just didn't gel with, didn't enjoy it at all. And then The No Show, like I said, I wasn't even going to pick it up, and Daisy read it probably in like 48 hours, something crazy. She read it really quick, and she was like, Sophie, you've got to read this. So I did actually pick it up and read it, and I read it again equally very quickly, and was just completely floored by the kind of the twists and turns and story as a whole, and the kind of bigger meanings as well behind the story. And it really surprised me. So I'm going to say that. But also I think just in general, majority of the books that I've been reading for real life book clubs. So The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean. And I feel weird because I'm not showing you books, but I've done this completely off the cuff to get the most kind of like realistic answers, so I haven't got anything to show you. But The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean and All My Mothers by Joanna Glenn. I've already mentioned All My Mothers, but those two were books I read for a book club and thoroughly enjoyed them. Would not have picked them up off my own bat, you know, would not have thought of picking them up, but I picked them both up and really enjoyed both of them. And both of them made my kind of like, I do this thing on Instagram where I kind of like find my best book of 2022, and I put my favourite book of each month, and both of them have made favourite book of each month. So I think that speaks in volumes, and like I said, I wasn't expecting that. Favourite new author, either a debut or a new to you author. I think Christina Lauren. I have read a couple of books now by Christina Lauren, and I've got a couple more now for my on my TBR. I hadn't read anything from them previously, and I've really enjoyed everything that I've read. And I'm just trying to think of anyone else I could mention. yeah, I think Christine Lauren's quite a good one actually, and maybe even potentially what book am I thinking about? I'm thinking about also Ali Hazelwood, who wrote The Love Hypothesis. I really enjoyed that, and that was the first book I read by that author, and I'm looking forward. That's another book that I'm anticipating the release of. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. I'm gonna Google it because I've not got anything to show you. Like, I'm physically showing you not much in this video. You're just gonna be with me whilst I Google the new Ali Hazelwood book, Love on the Brain. Oh, that's not coming out until... Oh no, that I'm just reading the wrong thing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's another anticipated release. Anyway, newest fictional crush. I don't really know. I think that's a bit of a weird one because I don't really crush on characters. I think I've kind of grown out of that a little bit. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that's like wowed me. Rune in House of Sky and Breath kind of like surprised me in that book, and I would even go as far as to say that would be a newer kind of like character that I enjoyed. I didn't massively enjoy him in the first book, but he came into a new light in House of Sky and Breath. Not that I have a crush on him, but that's, yeah. Newest favourite character. I really liked Hazel in Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I thought she was a really interesting character and a really kind of unique, fresh character to read, and kind of have her be very kind of like not phased by what others might think of her. I really enjoyed that. And also, I know I've not finished it, I know I've mentioned it already, but Elizabeth Zott in this Lessons in Chemistry, she is a woman before her time and gives me kind of like Claire Fraser vibes in that sense from Outlander. And she's just really badass, and it's like, well, why can't I do it just because I'm a woman, just because I'm, you know, she's like, she's not phased by it. So her as well. Badass female characters. Number 10, a book that made you cry. Has to, without a shadow of a doubt, be A Man Called Ove. And I almost cried at Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone by Diana Gabaldon. I feel like I need to do a whole spoilery video about my thoughts on that book, because something at the end, I don't want to spoil it and I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I've given you way too much info, but something happened at the end that I honestly was like so shocked I couldn't cry. And then I found out that whatever had happened hadn't actually happened, and it's a long story, and I was like, huh? I felt like I'd gone through I'd literally, the day before I'd finished this, I'd been like all in the feels. Then I finished that, and I was like, the next day, because I've been reading it on audio, listening to it on audio, and I was like, what are these authors doing to me at the minute? This one at the end just made me cry. It made me cry. But in a good way, like in a really kind of lovely way, if you could say that. If you could say, oh, I cried in a really lovely way. Next question is the book that made you happy. A book that made me happy. Lots of things have made me happy. I really enjoyed The Love Hypothesis. That was really fun. And I think everything that I've read so far by Christina Lauren has also been really fun. And I suppose in a funny sort of way, like, and you could argue that even though A Man Called Ove, it's not supposed to be Ove either, is it? It's Uva, that's how you're supposed to say his name. That also kind of made me happy in a funny sort of way, and it made me sad. I'm trying to think what else has made me happy that I've read. Just going back through my... Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Anything by Christina Lauren that I've read. This book, House of Sky and Breath, just has made me really intrigued and want the next book now. Well, when I first finished that one, I wanted the next book. 12. The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. Again, House of Sky and Breath is stunning. The cover is absolutely stunning. I have received several lovely editions from the Fairy Loot fantasy, adult fantasy book box, which have all been really, really pretty. I have actually cancelled my subscription now. And I have got 4 books from them, and I haven't read any of them yet, and I've just made the decision to cancel that. But those are all really pretty. Just trying to think. And I also think this is pretty. I also think, apart from the buy one get one half price sticker, I think this is really pretty. And I also think this is pretty because when you open it up and take off the dust jacket, it's actually got this all underneath. Different kind of pretty, but again, still pretty. I love a pretty book. It's like kryptonite to me. Just buy them all. And the last question, can we please talk about how there's only 13 questions? Because I don't like that. My mum has raised me to be extremely superstitious about the number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? You see, if I'd planned this video out, and I like to take my videos in as less takes as possible, so I will not be pausing and, well, I could do, I suppose. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I am going to be reading The Spanish Love Deception in July. That's like up there on my like top list I want to read. I think it's sat down, is it down here at the minute? Spanish Love Deception. Have to finish that, have to read that. I want to read more Colleen Hoover. So I've got 3 Colleen Hoover books: Ugly Love, It Ends With Us, and Verity on my shelf. And I've talked before about wanting to do a Colleen Hoover reading vlog, a Colleen Hoover themed reading vlog. And I would also really like to finish, obviously, Throne of Glass this year. So I'm reading the Throne of Glass series at the moment. We've just finished Heir of Fire, and this month we're reading Assassin's Blade, and then we're going to be going on. So obviously I will be reading these, and hopefully we'll have finished the whole series by the end of the year. Depending on how everyone gets on and how everyone keeps up, we might have to start doing kind of like 6 weeks rather than monthly, depending on how people get on with reading them. And I would really like to, this is really, really ambitious, I would like to reread Into the Wilderness by Sara Donati, which I read like a couple of years ago now, around this sort of time a couple of years ago, because I went back and watched some of my old videos, which was really cringe. And I love this series so much, and I never finished the series, and I feel like to really, really enjoy it, because it's been 2 years since I've picked it up, I really would like to go back through and reread and then finish. And there's only a couple of books I haven't read yet, so I'm hoping that it wouldn't take me too long to reread the ones I have already read and then read the final 2. I just think if I didn't read them, there's just too much maybe that I have missed or forgotten. Again, this is really, really I've downgraded my Audible subscription to 1 book a month. I was on 2, and I was kind of getting by then on the 2 books because I don't spend as much time in the car anymore, so I'm not listening to audiobooks as much as I used to. But all of these, the Seven Sisters trilogy, the Seven Sisters series by Lucinda Riley, are all available on my Libby as audibles as audiobooks. And I want to start listening to these when I haven't got an audiobook on the go, if I read one quicker or whatever. So these kind of can supplement my no longer having as many credits. That's kind of my thought process anyway. So there's lots and lots and lots of options for reading for the rest of the year, and hopefully I will make progress with it all. But as we speak at the moment, it's not quite the end of June, it's the 19th of June. I thought I would just, before I go, kind of do a little bit of a roundup of what I have read so far numbers wise and give you some figures. So I have currently finished 40 books. And that makes me very much think that because we've only got a couple of weeks left, or a week and a bit left in the month, I'm not going to get to 50. So I think 100's out of the question for this year. But I read 80 books last year. Yeah, I read 80 books last year. So I'm hoping that maybe I can do slightly more than 80, because I do plan on reading, like I said, I've got just over a week. I do plan on reading, I've got one on the go. I've got a manga that I want to finish, which is on the go. I've got The Assassin's Blade to read, and is there anything else I've got to really read before the end of the... Oh, and I've got an audiobook on the go as well. So I'm thinking that, you know, I could get to like 44 hopefully by the end of the month. I really hope I can, and then that'll be more like 88 if I read the same amount in the first half and in the last half of the year, second half of the year, kind of getting closer to 90 books, which would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. So yeah, that was my mid-year book freakout tag. I've got lots to read, but I hope you enjoyed this. And if there's any other tag videos, I haven't done any tags, I don't think, since I've kind of like been back on YouTube. So if there's any other tag videos you'd like to see me do, then please leave them down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!